Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today I got a story titled, My Wife Cheated on Me and I Wish to Become Vengeful. And a shout out to Logan for sending in this story. And guys, this story is about a guy, he just turned 50 years old, and he's sharing the story of events that happened like 9 years ago when he found out that his ex-wife and the mother of his kids was cheating on him, and in a pretty bad way. And in this story, and this guy's kind of doing this to let off his chest and move on with his life, let me tell you, when he finds out how this whole thing goes down, this guy turns ice cold. And his mission is revenge and making her life a nightmare. And while, I'll be honest, he doesn't do that quite like that, he does definitely kick her to the curb, and he's now doing quite well in his life, and things are good there. And I'll be going to go over here a longer story showing you about the type of crap that can go down and how a guy should handle things in this situation, and does handle it quite well. He says, tomorrow I turned 50. My ex-wife, who's now 48, cheated on me 9 years ago. By then, we were together for almost 14 years. I just discovered Reddit and wanted to share my story of years ago. My first language is not English, so this will be a hard read and maybe too long, but just to put it to rest. I read it now, I close this chapter of my life, and will never look back again. Well, good for him. And I do believe he's from some Asian country. I don't know where in Asia, but somewhere. This is the classic love story, or the classic story how relationships become quote-unquote normal. We met, fell in love, had 2 kids, got married, we loved each other, and lived our lives. Bought a house and beat the odds of being an interracial couple, while people warned us it would be hard. So excitements turned into routine, etc., etc. We didn't have a dead bedroom. I worked. She worked part-time, and both of us trusted each other completely. We did everything a normal, stable family would do. Okay. Sounds like the usual, but it ain't going to be pretty for long. That was until one day when I got a DM via LinkedIn, as I don't have any other social media. It was a very short message from OBS, and other betrayed spouse, and who I did not know at the time, asking me if I could call about my wife, and if I knew. I was working at the moment. I thought it was about her job or something that she had done in her professional career. Remember, I had no reason to jump any other wild conclusions. Yeah, imagine just getting a message out of nowhere from somebody about that. You'd be like, what the fuck? Then again, if you follow this channel, you'd be more like, I might want to investigate this. I don't know why. Normally, I don't respond to weird messages, but this time I reply with, hi. Know what? And forget about it until the evening. She replied instantly. I read the message stating that her husband had an affair with my wife, and she would like to talk to me. Yeah, imagine getting that at work. Still nothing more than that accompanied by a telephone number. My first reaction was that this was complete nonsense, probably some social engineering or phishing scam, and I left the message on read. Looking at the profile, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. Just a fine-looking 30-something woman in my eyes. None of her contacts were in mine, and third removed even. Well, if somebody's saying your wife's cheating, I think I'd be a little more curious. Jumping to my wife. She came home picking up the kids from her parents, started dinner, we watched some TV, put the kids to bed, and eventually went to bed too. I woke up that night to take a leak and looked at her while she slept. A few years older than we first met, but she still looked good to me. We have had our discussions in our marriage, but never anything we could not fix. My mind went back to that message that I ignored from earlier in the day, wondering if she had indeed cheated on me. How, when, because we had no secrets. You may have no secrets from your wife, man, but I assure you she's got secrets. She's got a whole closet full of them. I do have access to her devices, knew all her passwords as she for me. We have location sharing on everything. To be honest, I never look at her phone or her laptop, and in that moment I even felt guilty of even contemplating that the message could be real. Dude, you just never know. Just because you have access to her phone and laptop doesn't mean she doesn't have another phone. A few weeks later, as usual, I went to work. I work at a very well-known company in my area. I did my thing, went to the station, and while looking at my phone, when I heard my name mispronounced and looked it up. At first, I didn't recognize the person, and then it hit me. It was the same woman who messaged me. Damn, she's persistent. This chick's doing you a favor, amigo. When she saw my change of demeanor, I saw tears in her eyes welling up and my heart dropped. She apologized and asked if I had a few minutes to get a coffee. Well, we sat down, and long story short, she found out that her husband cheated on me. Her husband cheated on her. He confessed, but did not want to break our marriage as he has done to what he's done to his own. But she said that he was in agony and she would inform me or not. Waiting for me to not come out of the building these past few weeks, she didn't want to destroy my marriage, but she needed closure, something he wasn't willing to give her. At that moment, I was furious with her, the OBS. Why would she reach out to me? I was perfectly happy in my ignorance, but kept my composure and listened. Dude, you really want to be married to a woman that's cheating on you and just be ignorant of the whole thing? Come on, man. He's speaking about this, how he was feeling at the time. Obviously now knows he had ended with her. Well, she had discovered when he was home smelling like perfume. It took weeks to get him to admit the whole thing, and a couple of more weeks before he admitted who it was. He kept telling her it was some random girl at a bar and only one time. According to her, he and my wife met each other at a networking event. They exchanged numbers to have a meeting, talking about their experiences in their field of work. The next part enraged me for the longest time. In just 3 weeks, they went from texting to sexting to having sex. At the time, I could not fathom how logistically my wife could do this. Thinking back, that was the stupidest first thought I ever had. By the way, guys, English is not his first language, so if you hear me kind of stumbling a few words, bear with me here. How logistically the wife could do it. Guys, they are amazingly sneaky. They can find time. This is why, like, if you're dating, guys, and a girl you're seeing or your girlfriend claims she's just too busy to see you, bullshit. They'll make time when they want to make time for the guys they want to see. The wife had proof as well. She shared me the message exchanged from them, told me she was sorry, but she needed to know if he was telling the full truth. Was it really only 3 weeks of an emotional affair and only once of bad sex? She didn't contact my wife after she found her on social media, but me, because she wanted to give me the opportunity to process it and was hoping that I knew more and able to get the other side of the affair. And if the story matched, seeing her so sad and crying made me feel so sorry for her. I myself was angry at the affair partner, at the OBS, and my wife, but not sad. Well, that anger you can use to do what you got to do. And this guy definitely does what he's got to do. The next hour, waiting at the metro, walking home, I read the message over and over again. The first few were about work, then he sent her a picture of him during an event at the field they work in. He was a good-looking guy. He's a native of the country, as was my wife. So I don't resemble anything like him. What an emasculation I felt. Why him? Oh yeah, he is better than me. Probably bigger than me too. The next few messages shared a picture of herself making crazy jealous face, as in she wanted to attend the event as well. Knowing her that it really was her humor and really spontaneous and not shy at all, he complimented her on her picture. She thanked him with a wink smile. He complimented her and so forth, and looking at the picture, I felt so angry and loving at the same time. Looking closer, she was standing in the kitchen, and I was in the background playing with the kids. It was set with harmless intention. This guy's in the background of a picture she sent to this guy. Then the message turned flirty later that evening, talking about what they like to eat, drink, and even hobbies. He says, were they 12? And then he asked if she was happy. The message chat up to that point was instant back and forth. But after that question, she waited a few minutes and said yes. Well, the following days, a mixture of messages to meet up, about the work things, and a few flirty compliments. Mostly him to her, about her green eyes, her smile, etc. All compliments from the first picture. Then out of nowhere, he sent her another of him holding a glass of wine, doing cheers, and she replied of a photo of her with a wine glass doing the cheers back. She looked once again amazing, had makeup on and everything. Well, of course, I bet she took time to do herself up to take that picture. Then he suggested to switch to Snapchat as one of the final messages, to which she agreed. So from this point, the written truth went dark, and I had only his confessions via the other betrayed spouse. See, this guy thought he had all access to all her equipment and social media. He obviously didn't know about Snapchat, and that's where, no doubt, the spicy messages and spicy pictures and videos and everything else took place. To this day, I still have those screenshots. While writing this, it's the first time in years that I even looked at them again, triggering all kinds of emotions. Well, man, you're divorced from her and you've moved on. Buddy's sharing his story. Well, back to the post. I stood 5 minutes at my door thinking about what I should do. Confront her then and there or something else. I don't know why, but I became cold and went for something else. Opening the door, I was welcomed by my perfect little family. The 2 kids running up to me and jumping for me to catch them. Hugging them was what I did every time I got home. But this time it felt so much more intense. She stood in the background smiling contentedly and asking why I was late. I told her because the metro had some delay or malfunction, so I needed to walk for a bit. It was like I flipped a switch, detaching myself from the info I just got moments ago. I even hugged her and gave her a kiss in the cheek. I remembered her mentioning why in the cheek, and I said I had a feeling I had a cold coming up. Notice how the wife picked up on that immediately. Why'd you kiss me on the cheek? This is why guys, when they know something, it's very difficult for them to play cool, But he has to. Later that night, lying in bed, she did try to initiate intimacy, but I reminded her about my cold. She said that we didn't have to kiss with a big smile, so I didn't have any excuses anymore and complied. Afterwards, she left and asked what just happened. I went out that night. Yeah, it's very easy for, by and large, most women that love their guy, they want to kiss and feel intimate that way before proceeding to the other things. But clearly, for her, okay, we can just proceed to the other things because she doesn't care. Well, while she was sleeping, I snooped on her phone. Well, it's about time, brother. There was no Snapchat installed. It was inactive long enough that it was archived. So if I wanted to open it up, then I needed to be downloaded again. I didn't want to give anything away, so I decided not to download it. I did find her regular messages with the affair partner. It was scrubbed to some message that I had read before. But no pictures, no flirty messages. She didn't block them. But didn't call him as well in recent logs. I knew in that moment that I will not find any evidence, and confronting is the only way. I was awake and can't remember if I slept that night. The hurt, but moreover, the anger filled my head. The anger can get him through these times. He said, number 1, I wanted to hurt her. Not physically, of course, but make her suffer, and also the affair partner. I wanted to destroy her, the woman I loved, the mother of my kids, and I'll make this promise reality after I found the undeniable full truth. In other words, okay, a-hole, I'm going scorched earth. Nobody can blame him. The next couple of days, I did my legal round, finding out what a divorce would be, custody, etc., the works. All this during taking leave from work. She didn't know, and I just went to work. Her and my parents loved the grandkids. They accepted us both, accepted our boundaries that we set up from the start of the relationship. But we were always weary and warned about the cultural differences, so I could not go to them for help. And I told you so is something I would not survive at this point in time. Dude, it doesn't make a difference if you're in an interracial relationship. Cheating is going to happen whether you're of the same culture or not, Me and my siblings were never really close, but I contacted my sister and told her everything. She was shocked, did not judge, and only listened to me. I told her I was angry and wanted to find out the truth. She would help to a degree, like watching the kids, but she wasn't willing to do hurtful things. I also lashed out to her as well, and she said I shouldn't be doing something I will regret. I remember raising my voice, something to regret. She did something to regret, I said. Things I told her I wanted to do. Now, here's his list of things that he wants to do. Make public of her affairs to all our friends, her coworkers, everybody else who would listen. Publish all the chats. Confront the affair partner and destroy his career in the field. Take our kids from her and her parents. Even move to another country and never look back again. Have my own affair, sleep around. This last one I didn't tell my sister. Again, the anger will help him get through the hurt, but just make sure he doesn't hurt anybody else in the process other than her, In hindsight, she played a great grounding role while my head was spinning. My wife called me and asked me when I was coming home and if I needed some dinner. She saw that I was at my sister's house via the location sharing, and like I said, we've had a very trusting relationship. Unfortunately, trusted too much, brother. Where our location was always shared, and we checked on in on each other when we needed without being creepy or intrusive. I stayed the night at my sister's that evening, with the excuse that I needed to help her with some stuff the next morning very early. All she said was, "Oh, okay, then I'll see you tomorrow. I love you." I didn't answer her back. It was very awkward for just a second, and I said bye and hung up. Guarantee the wife knows something's up. Guaranteed. That night at my sister's, I could think. Even the question, how sure am I that the OBS, that she was the one who cheated with my husband? Here I'm plotting all revenge scenarios without even having concrete evidence. Maybe she was all innocent after all, and I'm the a-hole, having all these thoughts without giving her the opportunity to confess, confirm, deny, or whatever the outcome. I need to have the talk with her. Dude, you saw the evidence there. Even if she wasn't getting physical with the guy, other things were going on here. But, alright. The next day I went home. I stayed there while she was working. I picked up the kids and brought them to my sister's house. Sat at the dining room table. I put my ring on the center of the table and just waited. Just staring at that damn thing. Hours went by with me having all kinds of internal dialogues. Me and her, blah, blah, blah. Then she came home from work. She saw my car up front and didn't see the kids and asked where they were and looked at the ring on the table. She closed her eyes, took a seat, and exhaled. Her eyes were watery. Boom. Turn on the crocodile tears. She knows what's going on. All my preparations, all my clever dialogue, gone in that instant. I asked her if it was true. She answered, trembling, "Yes." I remember looking at her fully calm. Didn't cry, didn't scream. She cried, but not hysterically. She said that she was so sorry and meant to tell me, but every time she wanted to tell me, it was never that convenient. Oh, how convenient. I looked in her eyes and told her that she was the one who had to come clean, fully. And she needs to match fully with the information that I had already. If it deviates in any way, then I would know she was lying. Okay, that's a pretty good way to go about it. Act like you know everything, and you better confirm all these things. And if you say something that goes against what I know, then you're in deep shit. I'll make your life a living hell. But remember, they're not stupid either. If she did that, then I would bring hell to our lives. She nodded and began to speak, not knowing where to begin and how to structure it. We sat for hours at the table, going over everything in every single detail. She seemed remorseful and fully truthful. It was the most painful experience that I ever had. Remind you, I didn't know anything about trickle truths, healing, blah, blah, blah. In the end, I went in heads first. Well, there is still no way, regardless of him saying pretty much, I know everything, but you better confirm it. There's no way she gave the full story ever. Ever, ever, ever. So the cheating. Sorry, but this is a bit graphic because this part is edged into my mind. I'll never get this out of my head again. She didn't confess to everything right away. Told you. Downplayed a lot. But I kept pressing to hear the truth, asking over and over again until the end result was the following. Yes, it was just 3 weeks of contact that resulted in a physical affair. They clicked. They shared the same interests. They were both very attracted to each other physically. That was strange in my opinion, because she got hit on constantly by attractive men, but never gave in. In the last few days, they had lunch at a hotel close to his office, and they touched hands. She felt wanted, tingling. They went consensual, booking a room. Made out, had you know what. I didn't understand then, but I wanted details. She gave, oh God, here we go. She gave him oral, no protection. He pulled out. He was average size, maybe slightly thicker, but less hard. She didn't come, so he finished her orally. Well, he wanted details. No protection. So, remember how he explained how recently they hooked up? I'm assuming because they're husband and wife, they weren't wearing protection. What if she got something from him and gave it to him? In my opinion, and I've had this for a long time, when you hear these stories where these girlfriends or wives do this without protection, it's an extra FU to the husband. It really is. All this took maybe 20 to 25 minutes. She went to the bathroom to pee and shower a bit, and when she came back, he was already ready for round 2. She remembers laughing and giggling. She enjoyed it and said the deed itself wasn't mind-blowing, but the entire adventure made it seem to be better than it was. They did it again before checking out. I asked for more details as if he was better, as if he did things that I didn't do or what I wasn't permitted to do. If she did it in the back door. She said he playfully suggested to, but she wasn't prepared to do that, so no. I asked if she was prepared. Would she have given that up? Her answer was probably yes. So in other words, yes, she would have given the back door action. So always that with the affair partner. Again, the extra F you to the husband. I'm sure he wasn't going in the caboose. Well, she couldn't even look me in the eye. I kept pushing for more details, but with every revelation, I felt more and more disgusted with her. I bet. But you know what? That's only going to make it easier for him to kick her to the curb. Why did she stop? That's a good question. Her confusion was that after that it all happened, she was happy and thrilled, and while driving home to pick up the kids, it hit her what she had done. She had a panic attack right there. She snapped him through Snapchat and said that was a stupid thing to do and could never happen again. She wanted to talk to him how to come clean and make an appointment for the next day. Well, she saw me and the kids that evening and knew that she would lose everything if she told me that night. Well, she was right about that, and therefore she kept it secret. The next day, he picked her up from the work for lunch, but they never went to lunch. They sat in his car. He moved in to kiss her. She let it happen. His hand went down her dress, and she screamed at him to stop. Again, this is coming from her, of course. He immediately stopped, but did say, "But you're so wet." I asked her if it was true. She cried and said yes. She didn't know why, but that she was. She didn't have any intention to sleep with him again, but her body was just reacting. They didn't have you-know-what in the car, and they agreed to never contact again to let this rest. Why did she do in the first place, I asked. She replied that she loved me. I asked her to stop telling me that she loved me. Please tell me why. Until this day, I never got a clear answer. Of course you never got a clear... I told you from the beginning you're never going to get a straight answer. They don't want to tell you the truth. And some can't even actually understand why they do it, but we know why. She was happy, so she said she loved me, and she said she loved her life, she loved the kids, she loved our SCX life, she loved all the small details of my appearance and personality. She still feels the same way about me since the first time that she had met me, blah, blah, blah. She tried to reminisce about all the good times we had. All this confessing only made me more angry. Again, use the anger. Well, I stood up, I hugged my wife, and don't ask me why about that, and said I needed time to think. That and the kids will be at my sister's. I said that she should inform someone to help her get through the night. I asked her not to contact the affair partner and not inform him about anything until we discussed things further. She said she won't and didn't even cross her mind. I wouldn't believe a word she says. Well, it turns out he was a nobody. I mumbled while I was walking away. A simple nobody who managed to destroy our future. She destroyed the future, dude. It wasn't just him who destroyed your future and your marriage, it's her. And I heard her sob louder at that remark. I left my ring on the table. I recorded the entire conversation and sent it to the other betrayed spouse, and I didn't care what she would do with that. Well, there you go. Let her take him to the cleaners. That night I went to my sister's house. My kids were there playing with their nieces and nephews, and when I saw them, my anger changed into pure sadness. The loss I felt was unbearable, but I kept a smile for them. They asked for Mommy when we were going to go home, and I said no, that we would be having a sleepover with Auntie. Yeah, it's breaking his heart because he knows they're going to split up and he's going to see the kids probably 50-50. That's the odds of it, and they're going to be hurt. She did this, not him. Oh, here come the sirens. I knew it. A lot of fucking sirens. Shit. I'm just going to read through this. Over the next months, we tried to talk multiple times. It went from pleading to giving another chance, not breaking up the life we had, blaming me for throwing everything away, and we should be stronger than this. Of course she's going to blame him for throwing it away. She threw away the marriage by cheating. Amazing. Counseling was on the table, but I wasn't feeling it. I just knew that I'll never get over the fact that she did this to us. Long story short, I divorced her. Good for you, man. Good for you. She was still hopeful we could get back together after the separation. It wasn't a messy breakup. She was reasonable, and so was I. We only talked with each other about the kids just for co-parenting. I don't know what happened to the affair partner in the OBS. I did send her a thank you message after the divorce. She never answered in the voice recording or the message. A couple years later, I met my current wife. She has everything I hoped for. I found a new love that made me happy, and I know I was making her happy. So in other words, our guy remarried. Not the choice I would have done, but if it makes him happy, okay, that's his life, it's his business. Why? Seriously, after doing it already and already having kids, what's the fucking point? But this is life. We trust each other completely. Smack! That's how you thought with your other wife, dude. Look what happened. My ex-wife also found a new partner recently. I guess she really did hope for us to reconcile. He's a good guy, and we are quite amicable. We attend the same birthday parties for the kids, etc. She tells me over the years that she has worked on herself, went to counseling, and can answer questions that I had years ago. I'm still a bit angry, but I won't show it. I didn't entertain her to tell her revelations. I do sometimes see her looking at me from a distance during those parties, and pretend I don't see anything. My current wife told me I rug swept a lot when I told her my story, that I never really healed. But today, after 9 years, I think I can close this chapter of my life. Remember, I wanted revenge. I should be a better man than that, but I am not. My ex-wife was a bit tipsy and was talking to my current wife during one of those parties, asking how I was doing. She congratulated my wife for a catch of a lifetime jokingly, but my wife caught a glimpse of the pain, and I just now deleted that voice recording and all the chats I still had in all these years. I should have worked on my trauma. I shouldn't be caring. I shouldn't be gloating, but I am. In other words, yeah, I divorced her, and I can see, and obviously she's unhappy. She's with a new guy, but she's unhappy, and she's missing me and all that stuff. And you know what? Hey, I'm gloating, and I'm happy. So there you go. That sucks to happen, but I'm glad he got rid of her. I'm glad he handled it well, and he's doing all right. Him getting married again, I certainly wouldn't have recommended that, but you never know with his culture or something like that. I wish him all the best, but he shouldn't be going into this fully trusting about everything. We've been there. But there you go, guys. Handle it with precision. Handle it like a freaking the Terminator would. Get rid of him and move on. But notice how she blamed him at some point. You're throwing away the marriage and all that. Good God. And how the ex is not willing to talk to him about things. He's like, nah, no thanks. I don't want to do that. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. If you like the video, share it with your friends and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.